All right, everybody, let's get into some baseball now. Seth Everett, NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 Sports Live Talk Network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. Covers Major League Baseball as the Phillies continue in L.A. against the Dodgers. And before we roll into some baseball stuff, I just want to get your take, Seth, on, this Colangelo burner stuff. And, you've dealt with baseball, but other sports as well. Is it ridiculous to think that these GMs are monitoring and have multiple accounts to do so, or is this story just bizarre on top of bizarre?
Well, it's a bizarre story in that I don't know how the Ringer was tipped off to even look and why they would even look at something like that. The only thing I would say to that is, I'm not going to lie. I know a lot about having an account that you could say what you want, follow what you want, do what you want, and it's not attributed to you. It really makes a lot of sense, and that's where I really like the verification that Twitter has. But as far as another person having a Twitter account, for example, Howie Rose, the play-by-play man of the Mets,
yep,
he has not been on Twitter, right? He's not on Twitter. There's no Howie Rose on Twitter. How does he see the news just like I do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that,
it's almost unfathomable. I wake up in the morning and
that's not a burner account.
Right. I wake up in the morning, I start scrolling through, and that's how I learn the news of the day. It's almost It's like the newspaper. Right. It's almost unfathomable to think that people don't go that route anymore. Or today, I guess.
Yeah, and it's right, and it's sometimes it's funny, and it's. You can do all kinds of things. You can use some shady things. You can do some things you're not proud of. But to have the freedom on there. What I didn't understand is that's like a guy putting on a Joker mask and just like running in front of the police commissioner's Gordon, going, "Hey, look at me, look at me!" Like the fact that he was antagonizing his own players.
Yes.
Using this account, like. Is that why you had the account? Like, why can't you just follow porn sites like the rest of us?
Seth Everett's with us. Real quick, I do want to get into some things. I saw Ken Rosenthal at The Athletic put a really good Q&A with the commissioner. I want to get some of your thoughts on the commissioner's answer.
Sure.
But before I get to that, Rhys Hoskins looks like he's going to be out, broken jaw, although he doubled with a broken jaw on Tuesday night. What kind of impact will that be to this Phillies? He hasn't been, as impactful, but is this going to be a concern if the Phillies want to stay in the race to lose a guy like him? He's hitting in the top of the order, normally number 2.
Well, I'm not going to suggest that a person is, one player is going to do in a team. I don't think he's that kind of an impact, but it's an injury that hurts. I thought Kapler said it right when it first happened. I took it from the standpoint of, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, and you don't want to see guys getting hurt. But, I don't think that, the Phillies can't win because of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to diminish it, but, does that mean you're going to throw – like, you when you asked the question, you drew the parallel into could they sustain this run and stay near the top of the division? The answer to that is yes. Does the Hoskins injury hurt? The answer is yes, too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they've been playing with 4 outfielders and trying to –
one belies the other.
Yeah. And they've been playing with 4 outfielders, and I guess this will give a chance to get Nick Williams a little extended look, and Altair will get some more.
Guys just have to step up. Yeah.
All right. Manfried in the Rosenthal piece, which I know you read, I read as well, talked a lot about pace of play. Was he concerned there? Now, you had tweeted that he should be more concerned or didn't sound as concerned as he should be. Which area were you talking about? Gambling, expansion, pace of play? All the above.
I think the big thing is, there's 3 statistics that I did a Forbes piece on before that interview. And all of those things, because Ken Rosenthal is as good as they come, and he asked the questions that were a direct connection to the things that I noted. Number 1, for the second straight month, baseball is going to have at least 400 more strikeouts than hits. Second straight month. That's the first 2 months in baseball's history. The other statistic that I thought was crazy and that we've talked about was if you project this particular season, this is from Jason Stark, if you project this season's numbers, baseball will have 10,000 less balls hit in play than 2009. Like that to me is a big red flag. But the stat that on Memorial Day that prompted me to write the Forbes column was baseball is at a 15-year low in attendance. And you can talk about weather, and I understand the weather's been really lousy.
Yeah.
But that's not 15-year low. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I thought it was, like, this is a big red flag, and if you don't think people are noticing, I think it's naive. To say that it's an issue and that they're going to address it and that baseball finds a way to kind of even it, like Manfred says in the article, he says the line, says, well, baseball finds a way to even itself out. Are you serious?
Well, not if kids aren't playing, which is, turning into the case. I mean, young kids are not playing as much. Lacrosse is really big, and at some point that catches up to you.
They are gross numbers. And, I have a real sense of concern when you see numbers this gross. And what I have recognized is I don't think it's the priority of the fan. This reminds me of the steroid era. When I remember walking, I even wrote this in the Forbes column. I was walking from Capitol Hill. I attended the 2 steroid hearings. And as I'm walking, a guy recognized me. And he says, hey, what do you think my Mets are going to do this year? Because the reality of it is fans are fans of a team first and a league second. No one's talking about too many strikeouts in Milwaukee.
No.
No one's talking about it in Arizona. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's an issue. It's a real thing. I mean, yesterday the Yankees had a victory over the Astros, right? These are 2 of the league's elite. And the Yankees won. They had 5 errors, 17 strikeouts, and they won.
Jeez. I do want to move to the expansion thing because you're talking about fans and the lack thereof. Why would you add more teams?
Well, I mean, in a perfect world, if you added 2 more teams, you could get rid of Fakakta interleague play. Because then you could have 16 in each league, and that would excite me. I don't see that as being the reason that they would have it, but that would be at least the argument. I do think that there's money to be had. The expansion fees, if you look at what the NHL is making for Vegas and the upcoming Seattle franchise, you could see why the owners would benefit from having 2 more teams. I don't think it's the situation with the talent pool because, all it would do is if you had 2 more teams, you just have more strikeouts. And, they're teaching launch angle. I mean, it's not like you're bringing out teams that say, you know what, these guys protect the plate. They don't strike out. Like every team is doing it, and nobody seems to be having a red flag. That was my argument about Manfred. It's just this is being coached. A lot of people have said that launch angle is because of the shift, that people are trying to hit with launch angle because, if you're going to shift, you have to make sure you hit it over this infield.
Yep.
Well, if that's indeed the case, outlaw the shift.
Right. Yeah, like, I've heard the argument that
see what happens.
I've heard the argument that if there's 4 infielders and only 3 outfielders, 3 is less than 4, so make 3 guys go after your ball rather than 4.
Right, and the argument, what launch angle is for your audience is launch angle is it's the arc in which the bat crosses your body, and that there has been teams that are coaching. These are just teams that I know of personally that are coaching. I was at Citizens Bank Park, and I was sitting in the press room with these 2 with these 2 scouts, and they were telling me about teams that teach launch angle is your first priority at the plate. Contact is number 2.
Number 2, right.
Right, and so if a guy goes into the at-bat thinking that he has to have the right swing, not whether or not he hits the baseball, you're going to get those kinds of strikeout numbers. And all I would say is, to Rob Manfried, is that was your elite. You had the Red Sox, you had the Astros and the Yankees.
Right.
Those are 2 of the elite teams in the sport. That's 2 of the top 5 records in the sport. 17 strikeouts, 5 errors, and they won.
Seth Everett, by the way, I don't like the uniforms either. They got to get rid of these uniforms.
Oh, the Memorial Day?
Everyone. Mother's Day, Memorial Day, every day. They got a different uniform on every day of the week.
It's an old argument. It's such a salacious, sales thing, and it's so lame. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for the causes,
Sure.
I want to honor our military, breast cancer, all these things. If you want to put a blue ribbon on the sleeve of every uniform, I'd be all for it.
All for it.
All for it.
And make the hats. You can still make the hats and sell them. You just, let the ball. Every weekend they got a different uniform on these teams.
but when they wear these drab uniforms, they look wrong. It looks like your TV's out of focus. It doesn't look right, and it cheapens the game. And I always call it beer softball league uniforms, and it just looks really strange. And I don't know how that. I said on Twitter that if the strikeout issue wasn't my biggest priority right now, the uniform certainly was 10 years ago.
Seth Everett, NBC Sports.
I used to want to be the uniform police. I wanted to be the uniform police in all sports.
I like it.
Like in the NBA, you can never wear dark jerseys at home. In the no third jerseys in the NHL. Like I wanted to be the uniform police, and I would also make it so that you have to wear dark jerseys at home in the NFL.
Oh, yes, I like that as
well. I
well.
don't understand this stupid cowboy rule where they get to wear white, and every team, because when you're watching a game on the field, you don't know, unless you're in the end zones, you don't know what stadium you're in. I always presume that the team with the dark jerseys is home.
That's right. In a word, tonight, Nola, Kershaw, who you picking?
Nola. Kershaw's been hot and cold this year, and let's see what the Phillies offense can do again.
He's Seth Everett, NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. Download their mobile app today. Have a great week, Seth.
You got it, my man.